remain standing and join the band and sing the Stars Coming Back. Student at Dover-Eyota 8 years ago. His picture is still in the weight room because we haven't updated the pictures on how to do weightlifting. He served 8 years in the U.S. Marines. He served in Afghanistan, Japan, Korea, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more. We'll start off with, before we get to those folks, we're going to start off with our choir and.
While the band students are getting over here, I'm going to tell you about the piece that we'll be singing. Because it might not sound directly patriotic, but it is very much so I want you to know what it's about. These are words from the arrangers of the piece, John Jacobson and Roger Emerson. Flanders, a former county on the North Sea, was the heart of economic and political development in the Low Countries during the Middle Ages. It has been the scene of repeated warfare from the time of the Crusades in the 12th century through the Hundred Years' War in the 14th century, and from the Spanish Wars in the 1600s and 1700s to extraordinary battles during World War I. In 1919, Dr. John McCrae wrote the stirring poem entitled In Flanders Fields. In 15 short lines, McCrae captures the courage, valor, awe, and stark reality of war. The images he invokes of young people's lives, once so full of hope and beauty, vanquished by the ravages of warfare, and they are some of the most moving words ever penned. On Veterans or Remembrance Days in North America, we often wear a poppy blossom on our lapel to salute our fallen warriors. This beautiful gesture was encouraged by the vivid words of Dr. McCrae's poem. From the intrepid battlefields of Gettysburg and Bull Run, Europe and the Pacific, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, and all of the battles before and after, we would do our best to remember the sacrifice of others who protected our dreams and realities. Lest we forget, In Flanders Fields will be there to remind us. We hope that this musical setting of these immortal words will move you to remember and be grateful.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Pitcher. I am a intensive care nurse at the hospital in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'm also a member of the United States Army Reserve. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my experiences as a soldier and what that has meant to me. It started out when I was 18 years old, just after graduating high school, very similar to this one. Went out to Fort Oklahoma and learned to become a soldier. Learned what it meant to fight as a unit and to be part of the greatest army that ever really been assembled. My experiences as an enlisted soldier were phenomenal. I had the opportunity to travel to other countries. This picture here is when I was working with NATO forces in Germany. We were training to, at that time, to work
school as I always imagined it to be. After a few years being as a enlisted soldier, I started as a private. I went to college and I graduated and became a nurse. At that point, I had a decision to make whether I wanted to end my association with the Army or if I wanted to continue. I decided to continue on in the Army as a nurse and as an officer. This allowed me to have experiences that were very different, but very enriching. I've traveled to South America, Central America, doing humanitarian missions on behalf of the United States Army, representing the United States. One experience I'll never forget was being in Paraguay in South America. And we asked the patient, he said, well, when's the last time you would see a doctor? And he said, well, when's the last time you guys came? I said, well, it was about 5 years ago when we came through. He said, oh, okay, 5 years. It was very humbling to think that we represented the only modern medicine that these people were seeing. Experiences like this are great for the soldiers on a human level to be able to serve each other. It's also great for training. Next picture. There's a really great picture of a tarantula that was right outside of our barracks. We were living in the jungles and we had a mosquito nets to protect us. And when you see a tarantula right before you go to bed, it sure teaches you how to live in the jungle. I've met a lot of people in my time, 23 years in the service. I've met a lot of wonderful people from all over the country, from various parts of the world. Today I'd like to mention one of the people that stood out. Sergeant Amy Krieger was in my Army Reserve unit. She was one of my soldiers. And I got to notice that she was going to be transferring to a different unit. The incoming unit called me and said, you need to know about your soldier. We're going to Iraq, and it's going to be a small, potentially very dangerous situation. And I said, well, Amy's great. She's a great soldier, but let me just make sure everything's ready, and then I'll give you a call back. Well, I called Amy and I said, just so you know, this unit is going overseas, and it's potentially a dangerous situation. And I'll never forget what Amy said to me. She said, no, that's great. She said, this is what I wanted. I know someone in the unit, I knew they were going, that's why I requested a transfer. This happens a lot in the Army. People on the lowest levels tend to know things before the people on higher levels. And I said, well, Amy, that's great. You know, good luck to you. Please call me when you get back. I'd like to hear more to your pictures. About 2 weeks later, on November 5th, 2009, on the news that day, there was a story about a man who walked into an Army base at Fort Hood, Texas. This man hated our country, he hated the Army, and he wanted to do whatever he could to stop the Army from doing its mission. Nadal Hassan killed 13 people that day. Amy Krieger was one of them. At her funeral, I was one of the pallbearers, and I talked to her mother, and I told her about that conversation. I said, Amy knew she was going to be going to harm's way. She knew the risk, but she was proud to serve. She told me that this is what she wanted to do. Unfortunately, that ended way differently than she may have thought. But she was very proud to serve and was willing to make that sacrifice. If you look at the flag on the right shoulder of Amy Krieger, you'll see the American flag that every American soldier wears. From the lowest private to the 4-star general, when they go to work every day, American soldiers wear this flag. Every veteran in this room swore an oath. They looked at this flag and they swore an oath to support and defend this country. And we were all proud to do it. I'm sure I can speak for all of them as well. When Amy Krieger put that uniform on the flag, when I put that uniform on the flag, we feel tremendous pride and gratitude. Two takeaways I'd like to leave you with today from my experience as a soldier. First of all, the pride and the patriotism that soldiers today feel is just the same as it was for these ladies and gentlemen over here. That honor, that feeling of privilege it is to wear that second thing I would leave you with is support. Sometimes when we watch the news, we watch the media, we wonder how much this country is really behind its soldiers. We wonder how much this world is really respects it. I can say, as someone who's traveled to other countries wearing this uniform, as someone who's traveled around this country wearing this uniform, the rest of the world does respect us, and they do admire us. When we do humanitarian missions in these other countries, they are grateful. It may not always make the news, but when we work with partner nations like the Germans, they do respect us. They do realize what an awesome power we possess. And on the home front, there is a tremendous support, tremendous patriotism. For large functions like this, you guys have committed your time, your leadership has committed its resources to put this on, this great display of thanks and support for the armed forces. I can't go to a gas station in uniform without somebody coming up and thanking me for my service. Again, this doesn't always make the news, but it's there. It's very real. So today I would like to thank you for your time. I would like to thank you for your support. And I'd like to thank you for keeping veterans in the cause. Thank you very much.
How's everybody doing today? Good? Alright, I'm going to do a little differently. I like to walk around when I talk. It just helps me to do what I do. I want to first thank you all for having me here and inviting me to be back in my old stomping grounds. It feels really good to see some of the old faces and the teachers. I sang in that choir. I played in that band. I grew and developed in this community, in that gym, in those hallways. My hand is still upstairs. My name is Matt Ginther. I served 8 years in the United States Marine Corps. I did one tour to Afghanistan, 2009 to 2010 time frame. Fought in Marshall and Alexander. Helped bring a new lifestyle to those people. We brought in running water, schools, and infrastructure that they had never known before. I also went to Japan and Korea in 2011 and 2012, or 2014. It's really cool to see the dynamic of different cultures and how they do what they do. Sorry, it's just really humbling right now. I haven't spoken to an audience of this size since being out. And it's really humbling to see you all here gathered here to honor all of our veterans. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service as well. I couldn't do this if you guys hadn't stepped forward first, so thank you for that. We'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that are out there. I know, Mr. Goodger, you have about 4 or 5. Okay.
What was the hardest thing about serving?
The hardest thing about serving. The hardest thing about serving, the biggest sacrifice that we as veterans and service members make is the time away from our family. I've been married for 7 years, and I've maybe physically been with my wife for 2.5. I have a daughter that just turned 4, and I've only been there for one birthday. I have a 5-month-old son, which is nice because I haven't missed a whole lot yet. That's nice. But it's the sacrifice away from family that you're not around for. I think that's the hardest part about serving. What makes it easier is knowing that everybody else gets to enjoy those things. I'm beyond happy to make that type of sacrifice so that the rest of my family and my friends and my relatives, they can see each other every day. They can do good things. They can be productive members of society. So that's what makes it a little easier. That is definitely the hardest part, is the sacrifice away from family.
What was it like to come from a small town like this one and go into the military?
To go from a small town like this and then go into the military. It was relatively easy because in small towns like this, we have a set of values that set us apart from larger communities. You know, we're homegrown, we work hard here, we do what it takes to be successful. You know, it isn't. I mean, I've got a lot of farmers around. You all know what early mornings are. You know, that's the military. It's early mornings, late nights. You all know that. So that's what makes it easy, that's what makes it easier about coming from a small community like this. Also, you have more of your grassroots here. You know, you have more of your patriotic feel. You don't have anybody protesting the flag or anything of that nature. Everybody here is relatively patriotic, if not very patriotic. So it's easy to go from this to military.
What was difficult about coming home?
Difficult about coming home. What was difficult? Nothing and everything at the same time. Certain aspects are difficult because, like for example, I went to Sandsville. The buses pulled in at 8 a.m. and that day I went home. You know, I hung out with my wife. Family came over for supper, and it was easy. The next day, we ate grocery store in Stanford. Couldn't do it. There was too much going on, too many people, so many different avenues of approach is the term we use in the military. It's a way that humanity is dimension. And I was just seeing all kinds of different avenues of approach, if you will, from different corners inside Sam's Club, stuff like that. That made it extremely difficult. I couldn't stand it when people got within 5-6 car lengths of my vehicle, and obviously when you're stopped at the red light, you're within a car length. You know, so just little stuff like that was extremely difficult. Some people have a harder time in transition. Some veterans have a lot harder time in transition. Some have a lot easier. But the thing that makes it good is the community as a whole. We veterans have a community that embraces each other regardless of branch, regardless of service dates or anything like that. I know that if I had something that would bother me, I could go in and talk to any of these gentlemen here, and they'd be more than willing to help. Also, I think that's what we'll leave at. Thank you.
So what can you use for like 9 days to be doing if you had that die? Like what can keep you going from that one bad part?
I don't fully understand the question. I'm sorry.
So you know you're gonna might die. What kept you going past that idea?
So, let me just rephrase it. If I thought that I was going to die, what kept me to keep moving? Two things. The Marine next to me, because I know that he wouldn't let me die, just like I'm not going to let him die. And two, everybody in this room. We do what we do, we sacrifice how we sacrifice so that everybody else has a better chance of life. That's what it's all about. You think about your friends, your family, why are you doing what you're doing? That's what it boils down to. You know, your set of ideals, the community that you have. Because we here in America, we have a standard of quality of living that is unparalleled to almost anywhere else in the world. How many of you get frustrated in the morning when you take a shower and it doesn't get hot? Go ahead, raise your hand. It happens to me sometimes too. It's alright. Now imagine turning the faucet and nothing comes out. Are you going to be more frustrated? Absolutely. Now, imagine not even having the faucet to flip. You don't have a bathtub. That's the type of lifestyle that so many children, your same age in Afghanistan, have. That's their quality of life. That's all they know. That was one of the most difficult things about serving in a combat zone is you are in the roughest, worst living conditions. And I was only there for 7 months. I couldn't imagine growing up there. You know, granted, I'd already seen what it could be like. But the kids and just the quality of life and stuff, you see it like, why? Why is it like this? And it's frustrating, but that's what you gotta do. But it's that quality of life that you want to keep ensuring for all of you and for my family and stuff like that. You know, that's kind of what keeps you going. But it's one of those things that I really wanted everybody to understand today is how fortunate you are to be Americans. Because it is a blessing. You were so blessed to be born here. And you have opportunities that are limitless in life simply because you're here today. And it's because of gentlemen like that and some of my brothers that may or may not be here today. Because of it. So really grasp it. Grasp it with everything you have and don't let it go. Nothing can stop you except you. Alright? When I was 18 and I used to walk these halls, I said, all my teachers, you could ask me, Matt, what are you going to do? I'm going to be great. And I am. And I'm so proud to say it. And anything you want to do, whether you're grade up, lowest grade here, 8th grade, 6th grade here, whether you're 6th grade or you're a senior, not sure if you want to join the military or go to college or if you want to take a year off, I wouldn't advise a year off. I wouldn't do that. But anything you want to do, if you want to be a nurse, if you want to go down to North State and be a nurse and work at Mayo, do it. If you want to join the military, do it. If you want to be a farmer, do it. Because there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing holding you back. Because you're American. That's my biggest point. I definitely wanted to take advantage of today while I had your ears. Just put it there. With that being said, I don't have anything else for you. I want to thank you again for inviting me to come speak and get to see some faces today I totally forgot about. So it was really nice. It's really humbling. Thank you very much.
Before we close today, we have one more selection from the band. And this, in September of 1950, the Korean Peninsula had been invaded, North Korea invaded South Korea. And the South Koreans, with the help of the Americans, were fighting very hard. But a general by the name of Douglas MacArthur came up with an idea of an amphibious assault from ships. Marines would land on the beaches in a place called Incheon. And this selection they're going to play today is called Incheon. This battle is notable because not only was it a great military victory, it was also one of the first times we saw helicopters used in warfare. You're going to notice that certainly in the song today. I'm just going to read a quick thing from Mr. Anderson here. From the quiet sound of the waves on lonely Korea beach to the landing of helicopters on Bill 812, Incheon explores the clashing of cultures through sound. Even the simple Korean prayer in the center of this piece is answered by the more powerful Western statement of the same melody. As quickly as the invasion begins, it ends as the helicopters fly into the distance, leaving the beach once again in solitude.
Order. All right.
Thanks again for being here today. As far as departing your high school, everybody thank you, by the way, for how quiet and great you guys pay attention. Saw this in class. You guys did great, thank you for that. Veterans and friends, thank you for coming. We invite you to leave out the doors that you left. Let's have the 6th and 7th grade. If you're in the stands, just relax. 6th and 7th grade, why don't you guys be first? Thank you.